Hello, and welcome to On Thin Ice, where I, your previously very much grounded host, am now most definitely not on the ground. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Philip, and it's a pleasure to meet you. If you're a returning viewer, it's very nice to see you again. Today's topic is a bit different than normal, but that may be difficult to explain at the present moment, so... Oh, never mind. This is my stop. Let's take a step out of the shuttle, shall we? I think the best way to explain this episode is to just dive right in. That's more like it. Alright, on this very special episode of On Thin Ice, I've taken a step outside my icy world to present today's subject matter on site from the moon. Specifically, I've reserved a stay at Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, which is built directly on the moon's surface. Today's topic of discussion, if you haven't already figured it out, has to do with a very famous band and their journey from where they started to the vastly different place they are now. So sit back and relax with me in this lunar resort while I dive into the band Arctic Monkeys. Before I do though, thank you for watching, and I do hope you enjoy. Before we talk about Arctic Monkeys, it's important to understand the general state of music in the 90s and 2000s. The internet had just broken onto the scene as a reliable way to access music for both creators and consumers, and this new commercialization had some adverse effects. The idea of the sellout became more prominent than ever as bands attempted to take advantage of the new money that was now flooding into the music industry. At the forefront of these somewhat bland and generic bands were acts such as Smash Mouth, Limp Bizkit, and perhaps most infamously Nickelback. In the eyes of many, these bands were responsible, at least in part, for the stagnation of rock and its subgenres heading into the 2000s. Cue the Strokes. They released their debut album, Is This It?, in 2001, which marked a radical shift back towards making rock cool again. Brandon Flowers, the lead singer of another massive band from this time period, The Killers, said that Is This It was so good that he grew depressed about his own forthcoming album and scrapped every song from the track listing, save one, that being Mr. Brightside. The Strokes quickly became very influential in the music scene, inspiring many bands to form and pursue a similar style, one of those being the Sheffield-based Arctic Monkeys. Led by the energetic and wildly talented Alex Turner as lead singer, the band quickly saw success. They released their first full-length album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, in 2006, and the subsequent album releases were received with widespread buzz from fans and critics alike. This hype culminated in the release of their album AM. See, when they first started out, the most captivating things about the band were its raucous energy and fast-paced punky bangers such as Brian's Storm, Teddy Picker, and other such songs. AM took all that edginess away and sounded relatively safe. This resulted in excellent album sales, with AM still being their most commercially successful album to this day, but this came at the expense of some of their artistic integrity, at least in the eyes of their critics. They had to do something different if they wanted to avoid becoming just another formulaic alt-rock band. You might be saying to yourself, that's great and all, Philip, but that still doesn't explain why you're on the moon? And to be honest, valid point. Believe me though, it will all make sense momentarily. Alex Turner went soul-searching because, simply put, he was dealing with a particularly rough bout of writer's block. The thing that got him out of it was a sci-fi film he watched, called 8½? I don't really know. Anyways, the film depicts a director who is experiencing writer's block in much the same way as Turner was. Combine that with the sci-fi elements of the film, and Turner had found his muse. He proceeded to write what we now know as Arctic Monkeys' sixth studio album, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, but with a unique twist. Instead of writing the rest of the instrumentation along with his initial songwriting, he arranged the entire album using nothing but his voice and a fancy Steinway piano that had been gifted to him, with the other instruments being added on later in the production process. The album released in 2017 to, let's say, a puzzled audience, both critically and for the more casual listener base. Reviews seem to be all over the place. a 2-star review from Rolling Stone here, an 8.1 out of 10 from Pitchfork there, a mostly neutral to negative general sentiment from the heavy hitters of the YouTube music review scene, and so on and so forth. Despite this variance, one thing could easily be agreed upon. This was different. Very different. See, the band had all but ditched the energetic attitude prevalent in their early work in favor of a style influenced by 70s lounge music, jazz, R&B, science fiction movies and novels, and David Bowie? It was a startling turn, to say the least. Further adding to the already considerably large pile of weirdness was the fact that Tranquility Base was a concept album. It tells the story of a hotel and casino, Antarctica, on the moon, a once popular destination left to rot following a mass exodus from Earth to outer space. The narrative sees its sleazy owner, who also doubles as the lounge singer, try desperately to find some way to get interstellar traffic through his neck of the woods again, but to no avail. So he's left there to reminisce on the golden days of the past, alone and drowning in his own nostalgia. Behind the 70s facade, though, lies what I've dubbed the metaphor of the album, the deeper meaning of this seemingly whimsical and absurd sci-fi story. The album opens with the line, "I just wanted to be one of the Strokes. Now look at the mess you made me make." Hitchhiking with a monogrammed suitcase. The message here is clear. At the moment of writing this line, perhaps Turner did not feel like he was in control of his creative direction, much like a hitchhiker at the mercy of passers-by, unable to choose when he gets picked up, or by whom, or to where he'll be taken. Did he and the band reclaim their artistic license with this bold and risky project? I think they did. Not everyone does, though. If you hated Tranquility Base, boy do I have bad news for you, because their most recent album, The Car, is, for all intents and purposes, a continuation and evolution of the sounds and style pioneered in Tranquility Base. While the sci-fi narrative is nowhere to be seen, the empty space around each instrumental has been filled with a rich and swelling orchestral arrangement that gives the album a distinctly cinematic quality. It really does an excellent impersonation of a soundtrack to what could be some style over substance spy movie from the 70s. For me, they did an incredible job. Almost better than they did on Tranquility Base. But that's besides the point. My point is, there is a clear schism that separates pre-2017 Arctic Monkeys from post-2017 Arctic Monkeys, both in terms of their music and of their fanbase. So what's my message here? What am I trying to tell you? It's simple, really. Artists oftentimes refuse to be restrained or pigeonholed into making what everyone else wants them to make. There are some artists, of course, who are there just for the paycheck. But there are also artists who really care about making good art that is true to their vision. It's like I said in the previous episode about John Steinbeck. One label most artists despise is kitsch. The idea that their work has no staying power and is nothing but a short-sighted cash grab is one they do not want attached to them or their work or their reputation at all. So, whether or not you like Arctic Monkeys' new direction, their boldness has made at least one thing clear. Having been freed from the yoke of genericness, they're gonna do what they want from here on out, regardless of fan reception. And yes, that means you too, TikTok Monkeys fans. What do you think of the Arctic Monkeys? Do you prefer their older or their newer music? Are you a fan of their new direction? Leave a comment down below. I look forward to reading them. And if you made it this far, why not subscribe? I've worked hard to get these episodes out in a timely manner, and your support goes a long way. Finally, if you need a refresher on any of the past episodes, try one of the links floating around here. I'm Philip. This has been On Thin Ice, on the Moon, and again, thank you for watching.